Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about John Bodkin Adams. He was born around June 21st, 1899. He was known, or as a nickname was known as Doctor of Death. Jumping right into him, his victims ranged from 0 to 163 plus, from 1935 to 1956. His main targets were elderly female women, and his method was poisoning. He was captured April 1957 and died in July of 1983. A little background on him. His family was a deeply religious family. His father was a watchmaker by profession, including being a preacher. Teachers described him as a lone wolf or plowder, which plowder is a person who works in a slow and perceiving but uninspiring manner, or who walks doggedly and slow with heavy steps. Attention and suspicion arise for him around the mid-1930s. His methods became questionable, perceived unconventional. 1935 patients left him 7,385 pounds in her will to him, which was odd to the family, but the will held up in court. Mr. Adams got another diploma in aesthetics in 1941. Worked 1 day a week with his new diploma. He was known as a bunger. Eat food, count money, and or fall asleep during operation. Mixing up tubes, mostly aesthetics, gas. Patients would turn blue or end up working during the procedure. Otherwise, during his career, it was rather successful. Very wealthy. In 1956, people became concerned about his behavior being reported to the police by Leslie Henson after one of his close friends, Mrs. Hutlett, died unexpected within Adams' care. Adam was a beneficiary for 132 wills of his patients, which in retrospect it was deemed to be very suspicious. An investigation taken over by the group known as Murder Squad. 2 officers were appointed, Herbert Hannon and Charles Hewitt, detectives of Scotland Yard, coming to the conclusion of looking at cases from 1946 to 1956, which is a 10-year gap. Some people have noted that Adam gives certain patients a special injection. The context are unknown, but some suspected of an overdose of morphine and maybe heroin. Victims: Edith Alice Morrell. June 24th, 1948, Ms. Morrell suffered a stroke, becoming somewhat paralyzed. Adam was her regular physician. He began giving her morphine July 9th, later adding heroin July 21st. Morrell died November 13th, 1950. Her death stated, also written by Adams, that she had died from a stroke. Adam originally in her will was later removed September 13th, 1950. Despite being removed after her passing, Morrell's son gifted Mr. Adams his mother's Rolex and a chest full of silver cutlery. Mr. Adams also kept on a lamp that was Morrell's as well. Mr. Adams billed Morrell 1,674 pounds for the 1,100 medical visit. Later, officers found that he had only visited 321 times. A second victim on the documents is Gertrude Hullett, passed away July 23rd, 1956, of the young age of 50. Her husband did die a few months earlier, and then she had become depressed. Mr. Adams prescribed sodium, sorry if I butcher this, phenadabite and sodium baritone. Adam gave her 2 tablets each morning, later reducing to 2 tablets equaling 5 grams instead. Adams received a check for 1,000 pounds from Hullett, July 17th, to purchase a car that Hullett's husband promised him. Taking an overdose, slipping into a coma, another doc checked on her in Adams' absence, deciding she likely died from cerebral hemorrhage. Adam contacted private post-mortem despite Mrs. Hullett still being alive, later developing bronchopneumonia, finally passing away July 23rd. Urine samples determined that she had 2 times the fatal dose of barbiturate in her system. 5 days earlier, before overdosing, she altered her will, leaving Adams her Rolls Royce worth 2,900 pounds. If you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments below. Thank you for listening today. Have a good day, guys.